Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome to this new video of Animal Crossing, guys. Today our topic is going to be about um SKs. YouTube friendly.
YouTube friendly. We're gonna. Oh, I have to figure out a different code
But
word for.
not necessarily SKs, but people who have done terrible things, like criminals basically. Such as Chris Watts. You know anything about Chris Watts? M?
Yes, but also, how crazy! I have a whole Wikipedia page. Nah, Chris Watts is crazy. Like even before reading this, I already know like a lot about him. Watched the Netflix documentary.
Oh, I didn't
He's.
know that there was a Netflix documentary.
Oh, girl! I'll have to show you the Netflix documentary. It shows like
I just
police
I just
body
did a
cam
lot of
footage.
research. Oh, that's where it comes
It's
from, maybe,
so.
probably.
Mhm.
I have
It's
seen
so.
the body cam footage, but just like I guess the upload to YouTube or something.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, the it's crazy. They have like the neighbors, like dash cam, not dash cam, security camera footage and everything. It's crazy. It's crazy. Um, Chris Watts, weird man. People are infatuated with him, like they're in love with him.
For
I
some
don't see.
reason.
Yeah, I'm like I don't see the appeal. Um, nah, he in 2018 it says. I thought it was
It was August 2018.
yeah August 2018. I thought it was farther like
Back?
farther back than that. Yeah. Um, he murdered his pregnant wife via
YouTube
strangulation,
friendly,
and
of
then,
course.
yeah, we're gonna use mangoed instead of that word. Uh, and his two children, who were 4 and
Yeah,
3.
and then he put them into, like, he worked at some sort of oil rig place, and so he dumped them into some sort of oil rigs, and then also buried the wife.
Oiled tanks.
Oil tanks. That's even worse.
Oil.
Oh, oil tanks.
Oh, some oil. Nah, his oil tanks. He got arrested 2 days later because he's stupid.
Oh, this is one of my new neighbors. Sorry. Oh, sorry, Teddy. Hi, I'm sure. What's your name? Eggy. I'll be sure to remember that. I just moved here and don't know much about this island, but you seem pretty cool. Okay, what do you want? Hey, you want more reactions? You got it. Check this out. Wow! Use that if you ever get beat in arm wrestling, of course. You'd be shocked. Shocked if that happened. I learned the shocked reaction. What? Alright,
I
continue.
love the sound effects. Nah, that's basically it. He's just it's a pansy. I'm not afraid to say it.
Yeah.
Don't care about him. Yeah, no. Literally cannot care less about him. He's got, like... People are like, oh, he's so handsome while he's in prison because he's working out. Girl, he mangoed his whole family. I don't know what they're talking about. We've got, like, a whole lineup of good people today. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
One of them being John Wayne Gacy.
Yes, sir! You know... Okay, listen. I feel like there's an exception to serial killers. I can be mean about how they look because they deserve to be bullied. This man had double chins for days. His chin literally goes like... whoop, whoop. It's a W. I'm just saying! He kind of deserved it.
Very mean, but fair, I guess.
He deserves it because he was a serial killer. I do not care, okay?
For sure.
Alright, he was a skuska, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And a bodily harmer towards women and men. Not women, actually, just men.
Yeah. It's
Not
like, do you
women.
know John
Don't
Wayne Gacy at all?
Don't listen to me. Not women, just men.
Not straight.
No, but he did have a wife though.
Yeah, that doesn't mean he's straight.
I know. Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he did have a wife. Probably because he was forced to have one. Slay. Anyways, all of them happen. What is happening outside my living room? I don't know. Most of them, he says, oh, he mangoed 33 teenage boys and young men in Illinois burying most of them under the house. Yeah, he was weird. He had a whole clown persona. Did not like that.
He was, I think, a party clown.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Mother
I don't think he just dressed up as a clown to be like, hey guys, a funny joke.
little joke here. No, he's
Pretty sure that was
whatever.
his job.
But he was also a building contractor, though.
Very interesting.
In 1968, he first attacked a teenage boy. Didn't mango him.
He escaped.
Yeah.
And then that's when he took off the handles of his doors because that's how he escaped. And also, I think he had child locks on. Put them in the back, had child locks on, which is very suspicious. Like that. Like
A little bit.
there's no family members that got into his car and were like, "Hey, where's the handles?" You know.
It's like the same crap Ted Bundy pulled, but I don't think Ted Bundy did he do it that way? I don't remember.
No, he just pretended to be injured to lure people to his car and just beat them really quickly, knock them out really quickly. He was very strong.
Yeah, he was a big boy. Big boy.
No, he had that like hidden muscle. Which you could kind of I think a lot of it is hidden by his he wore long sleeve shirts as opposed to like he just had that like sleeper build, you know.
Well, I don't necessarily think he had a sleeper build. I think because you can see in the pictures he's got a broader chest and he's built more sturdy. Not like heavy sturdy, but like he's sturdy. You know what I mean?
Right. You wouldn't think he'd be strong enough to beat someone over the head and quickly put them into a car, especially as he's portraying as injured usually.
No, I could see him doing
Which
that.
is why he didn't get caught for a long time, just because it was hard to know who it was because people loved him. He was so good looking. And some people did suspect him. Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
Not true. He was, after assaulting the first boy, he was put in prison for 10 years, and his wife divorced him.
The first time.
That was before he killed anyone.
Yeah.
So he was in prison.
Right. I was just saying in general, like, the just random people didn't like really expect him to be that way. You know, after that, of course. Anyone who does that, even if they don't do anything after that, there's always you're kind of skeeved by that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's usually how SKs are. Is they just have a nice persona, and some of them have feelings and remorse, some of them don't. I remember when he got jailed, he did a lot of interviews that were like, I found God.
Like a lot of people say that, but they don't really mean it.
He specifically, I remember a clip of some pastor or pope visited him, and he was saying that, and there was like a TV interview, and I think he was trying to reach the like the public view of being like, hey, I've changed, you don't need to worry about me. And because people liked him and were infatuated by him, of course there were a lot of people that were like, you need to free him. They did the same thing with, there was one cute guy who killed a bunch of people. I think you were showing me this the other day when I already knew about it, but like he had really, really blue eyes, but he just had like a deadpan face, and people thought he was so cute, especially with his black mask on.
Yeah.
Like there's just always people that get infatuated by serial killers, and unfortunately those ones, people are usually the victims, either due to that or using trust against them.
Yeah, they attack the trustworthy, like the ones that trust more, you know.
One of Ted Bundy's kills, I remember, was in the Provo Canyon, and when he just like killed the body, there were a couple that walked up and he had to quickly hide in the bushes like 10 feet away from them, and the guy even stepped on the body, but then they didn't look down. They both turned around and booked it out of there. And we actually, when he was talking about that in an interview, and the two people came out and gave their side of the story, and it was their first date, and they decided, we both like night hiking, let's go night hiking. And they were both like really skeeved out, like they both had a bad feeling, but neither one of them wanted to ruin the night. And so they continued on, and eventually he stepped on something squishy while he was holding her hand, and he wanted to look down, but then he heard some rustling in the leaves, so he just decided, nope, I'm turning around. And they both booked it out of there. They didn't look at all. They didn't know who was in the bushes. Yeah, that it was really interesting.
Yeah, it's. Ooh. I have personal beef with Ted Bundy. Not that I knew him. I wasn't even alive back then. Wasn't even a thought. But I have personal beef with him. I hate him so much. Nothing brings me more joy than him being dead.
Another person you could say that about is Danny Rolling. Do you know anything about Danny Rolling from your Wikipedia page?
He is. Yeah. So
Go
he
ahead.
was known as the Gainesville Ripper. He was an American serial killer, SK, who mangoed 5 college students in Gainesville, Florida, over the course of 4 days in August of 1990. He also later confessed to assaulting several of the victims, committing a triple homicide in the home city of Louisiana. So just a spectacular guy.
Mm-hmm.
However, also, he was actually the inspiration for Scream.
Mm-hmm.
So take that as you will, I guess.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about him, because he was the inspiration for Scream. In Gainesville, Florida, there was a college where students kept dying, basically, and the police couldn't figure out who it was. They arrested multiple people for it, but when they had them in custody and they kept happening, they're like, okay, it's just a creepy person we arrested, not the person that caused these murders. But he didn't even get arrested for the kills. He got arrested for, I think it was a bank robbery, and that's how they caught him, because they had his fingerprints in the database from like 10-15 years earlier in a different state where he assaulted someone or killed someone.
Sucks to suck. Nah, he was a crappy dude.
What else do you know about him?
I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here about. The sucks to suck was not towards the victims, by the way, because obviously that's horrible what happened to them. It was not towards the victims at all. I'm saying this man is stupid. Hope he rots. I
don't know if he's dead or not. It would have been.
He
It would have been
is.
a long time ago. Okay, yeah.
He was executed by lethal injection in 2006.
Best way to go out.
No.
Not that I know, of course.
Uh-huh. No, he was like, he did the whole like, I'm responsible for, I'm responsible for these murders, and here's a handwritten confession and apology, and then he sang a gospel hymn. Weird guy. Great. Yeah.
You know who's next on the list?
Lawrence Singleton.
Ooh. Do you know anything about Lawrence Singleton?
Actually, no, because this is a different guy than I was thinking of. I was thinking this guy was the Golden State Killer because they look pretty similar, but he's not. The Golden State Killer I cackle at because everyone in the courtroom that was a victim of his that survived was like, it's not appropriate to say on on video,
No,
but
go ahead.
I will tell you. Everyone said he had small PP energy. That he had a small PP, and I cackle saying that to an old man's face. I would laugh.
That's so funny.
He deserves it. Let's be so for real.
So that was the Golden State Killer. So who was Lawrence?
Lawrence was nicknamed the Mad Chopper. He was known for he was known for grape, we'll say, and mango of an adolescent hitchhiker named Mary Vincent in 1978. When doing a second attack. Oh, I do know this one. So he didn't kill her. She actually lived, but he like picked her up like for hitchhiking, and he cut off her forearms and then left her to die. And she hiked out by herself. So props to her, because I would simply not.
She had the pure will to live.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she ran away from home. I don't remember why, but she went to, I think she's trying to hitchhike to her uncle's house, and she had a couple of hitchhikes that went well. And she was hitchhiking with a couple people that she met, a couple girls that she met. And then this guy, Lawrence, pulls up and he's like, I will only take you, which is very suspicious. And she got weird vibes, and the other two were like, don't go with him. But out of like desperateness to get home, she's like, okay, I need to go with him. And they were driving for a while. They were having some small talk. It was pretty normal, and eventually she fell asleep. And when she woke back up, it was a few hours later, and she noticed that they were going in the wrong direction. And she pointed that out to him, and he turned the car around immediately and started going back in the right direction. And so then she was like, okay, well, it must have just been like an accident. Maybe he didn't know. And eventually he pulled off, and he's like, I need to pee or something like that. And so he did, and he got out, and she noticed that her shoe was untied, and she was thinking, I might need to run from this person. Let me just tie my shoe. And so she got out of the car to tie her shoe and got hit over the back of the head. And they were still in that like little area. She woke up. I think it was tied to the back of the vehicle, and he came and she's like, please set me free. And I think the line was, you want to be set free? I'll set you free. And then he chops her first arm off, and she specifically remembers grabbing on to his arm and still falling backwards. Like, she didn't feel the pain immediately, but she distinctly remembers grabbing onto his arm, but then all of a sudden falling backwards. And in that split moment, she sees that her arm still grabbed onto him, and so she's confused until she falls on the ground, looks down, and notices that her arm is severed. He grabs her other arm, and knowing what's going to happen next, she tries to fight back. She kicks, screams, stuff like that, and he chops that arm off. It takes him 3 or 4 hacks because she's struggling, but he gets it off. And then he notices that the first arm is stuck onto him, so he tries to flick it off. And in that moment, she decides, the only way I'm going to live is if I pretend to be dead. And she had enough adrenaline to live through the entire thing, but she pretended to be dead. He threw her in a ditch or something like that on top of all these jagged rocks or something. Go ahead.
He threw her off a cliff, a 30-foot cliff.
Gotcha.
And he spent the night also graping her, we'll say.
I remember.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, but eventually he left, and she crawled out with her nubs, I'll say. Really sad. But she crawled out and lived to tell the tale. And eventually when he got arrested, she testified against him, and then he also, I don't remember how he died. Was it to himself? Like he did something to himself?
Nah, he died of cancer in
Oh,
2001.
yeah. Okay, I remember that. And she was upset because she saw it as the easy way out of his trial. But she did have some, I guess like some goodwill because her children were very worried.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
that was good.
yeah, something to go along with that though. That's really cool because indomitable human spirit. The way she survived was she stuck her arms in the mud, and the mud helped close them up and stop the bleeding. Very, very quick thinking on her part, because she would have bled out otherwise.
Which I'm sure.
Yeah, she was
hurt a
naked
lot.
and everything. Yeah, she was naked and stumbling along the highway when they found her. But also, Lawrence, he got out of prison after serving his first sentence that had to do with Mary. And he killed another lady.
Yeah.
So,
He did it again.
like, they just let him go, and he did it again, and then he went back to prison. But
Like they don't teach anything in prison, so I don't know why they expect them to change. I assume it's like, oh, I don't want to be in here anymore, which kind of happens to some people. Like Mike DiPolito did that. You know.
nice segue. Yeah, Mike DiPolito.
Mike
He,
DiPolito.
you
The story
know
kind
a
of
lot
starts
about
off with.
this. Yeah, I think you told me this one quite a bit because you're quite enamored by this case. He was the one, he was in the mob or something like that. I don't know his whole backstory. You know better than me.
He was in the mafia and he ran a red room, which is illegal, of course. But he was very successful. He also did some scam stuff too. But eventually, when he got caught and arrested, he did try to run. But once he got caught, he's like, "Yep, I did it. Put me in cuffs. I did it." And he served his time. He did not like jail, and so when he got out of prison, he was on what is it called? It's that thing, like not house arrest, but like where you have a person check up on you.
Parole.
Parole. Yes, thank you. He was on parole, and he vowed that he would never do anything to go back to jail because he hated jail. I mean, he absolutely hated it. He did not want to go back, and so he got a normal job. Eventually married a woman, and cheated on that woman with Dahlia, who was an escort. And he loved Dahlia so much that he divorced his wife and a few months later got married to Dahlia. And everyone said that they were so in love. They were so surprised. Stuff like that. But then things started like turning around. All of a sudden, the parole officer was like, "Hey, I got an anonymous tip that you're selling drugs out of your condo." And he's like, "No, I didn't. I'm not. You can check my place. I promise, I'm not." And they didn't find anything, so they left. It happened a second time. They didn't find anything. They left, and Mike and Dahlia are like, "What is going on? Like we're so confused, you know?" And out of spur of the moment, they decided, "Hey, let's go on a weekend trip somewhere, and we'll be good." And they were coming back from something, or maybe they were leaving their condo, and again, the parole officer was just by his car, and they're like, "Hey, we got a tip that you're selling drugs out of your car," and he's like, "Guys, I am not doing these things." But they did end up finding drugs in his car. They found, I think it was coke. But he was like pleading with the parole officer, like, "I did not do this. I don't know where this came from." And the police were kind of suspecting Dahlia because when he was pleading on the ground and like crying and stuff like that, Dahlia had a stone face and like was kind of numb to the situation. Plus, they had tips before where they didn't find anything, and Mike was like very honest, and so they with this one they're like, okay, we'll confiscate the drugs, we won't arrest you or add any charges because it's a weird situation, and just don't do it again. And on the ride home from that vacation, Mike accused Dahlia of planting the drugs there. And she got so angry that she was going 190 on the freeway. And out of his own safety, he dropped it. And he's like, okay, you didn't do this. I'm sorry. And eventually things went back to normal. Until all of a sudden, one day Mike gets a knock on his door. And they're like, hey, we need you to come with us, basically. And so he goes to the police station. Now we'll flip over to Dahlia, which I'll have Emily do because I'm tired of talking.
Oh, Dahlia is an interesting little lady. I'm not as good at explaining as Iggy is, but she was getting bored of him and kind of wanted his money, from what I understand. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So she was like cheating on him with previous lovers, and she asked a couple of them if they knew a way to, like a hitman, basically, to kill him. Not that word, to mango him. And the first one was just like, nah, sorry, can't help you. Didn't go to anyone about it. The second one, he was like, no. But then he like went to the cops and was like, hey, like she's trying to kill her husband. And the cops were like, hey, like you should like, let's set up a sting operation, basically. So they went, and where does sting operation even come from anyways? I'll look at that later. Anyways, so he went back to her and he was like, hey, actually I do know someone. They charge this much, but you could meet up with them. It was obviously an undercover cop, but they put a camera in his car, I believe in one of the back seats. And they cut like a hole in it so the camera could see and everything. And I don't remember how many times she looked at the camera. You told me the exact amount before. I cannot remember it. This article.
I think it was like 16 times. She looked a lot at the camera, but all she would have seen is just a hole in the back seat. Although it's kind of peculiar that she looked that amount of times. Like she knew, like she was trying to see if there was something there, but trying not to like
be suspicious about it.
Yeah, to who she thought was a hitman.
Yeah. But no, once the cops were like, oh yeah, no, she's like 100% down for this. Like they gave her so many times they could be like, are you sure you want to do this? She's like, yeah.
Yeah, she said one of the quotes that she said is, I'm like 5,000% sure that I want this done, or something like that. Something along
The
those
Valley
lines.
Girl. So then August 5th, 2009.
That's
Mike's
when
at home. That's when he was like she planned this whole thing out with the hitman to have him like come in, stage a home robbery, make it look like he got killed during it, you know. Mike was like chilling. He's like, hey, at the house, and she went to go to the gym that morning, and the police came to his house, and they're like, hey, we're just your wife's trying to kill you. you should probably just come with us, and we're gonna arrest her. So they called her and they were like, hey, you should come home, like something's happened. And she got there and they're like, hey, your husband's been murdered. And she like broke down, but she's like very crocodile tears. Like before they even finish the sentence, she breaks down. I don't remember the exact thing, if it's like she was like, oh, like what happened or whatever, but like she broke down immediately. And then she went to jail and they were like, hey, like we know we got some cute little footage of you. And she was like, no, nuh-uh. And they're like, yeah, we actually did though. It's like going through here. She gave the hitman $7,000. What an idiot.
Yeah, that's such a low price.
Oh my god. How would you know? Just kidding.
But yeah, anyway, to close this, because we're running out of time, basically she got caught. She tried to lie about it and be like, I did not do this, I promise. But that didn't work. And she got arrested. They had the whole trial. The jury was like, the jury was bad or something, so they had to do a retrial years later, and her lawyer was insane. Like, he's like, this was a YouTube skit that went wrong because they saw a pretty girl, the cops saw a pretty girl, and they wanted some ching 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 blam 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 money.
No. What?
It was crazy, but eventually she got sentenced, and she is currently in jail, but she will get on parole in like 2035, something like that.
11 years.
From 2016. Oh, so 2027.
Oh, 3 years.
That's crazy. Yeah. Anyway, see ya. Nice video. Good job.
Bye.